If you were to join me in my home study, what you would find is another bookcase packed with all kinds of scriptures from all the different religions of the world. I love what they say. But there's one I go back to most often, the Christian scriptures. The reason I do is because deep inside of it, the Apostle Paul wrote something that has always challenged me about how hospitals can operate. So today when I walked into Bob Carmen's office, the president and CEO of Adventist Health, I looked at his bookcase. Bibles, 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 and right here, a Christian Bible that is well used. I love it when I find a Bible and it just opens to the right places because it's been used that way. In this one, the Apostle Paul, who was a great preacher in the early days of the Christian church, wrote a letter to people he called Colossians. They lived in the town of Colossae. In the middle of that is this amazing lifestyle challenge. I want to share it with you. And in the next few days, I want to share several ideas that come out of it. But today I want to give you the one that I always stumble on. You ready? It's chapter 3. They've taken the book and divided it into 4 different chapters. Chapter 3. And let me just paraphrase it. If you really want to be a success in life, take your mind, put it on where the good values are, where God is, not on the junk of the earth. And if you'd really like to be a success, take your heart and put it where God is, not in the stuff that will destroy you here on earth. You know, at Adventist Health we have this saying that for every Adventist Health employee, whoever you are, wherever you are, you're doing sacred work. You're meeting human need with love. Everything I find here in Paul's words talks about that. If you're going to do sacred work, then here's what it's going to look like. Your mind is focused on God, not on the junk of earth. Your heart is focused on God, not on the junk of earth. And what happens? Here it is. Because that's where your mind and heart are, you're going to have ripped out of you the stuff of earth. Immorality, lust, impurity, evil desire, dishonesty, oh my, filthy language, anger, rage, malice, all of those are going to go away. People are going to be able to trust you because all of that stuff's gone. And then Paul says, but there's some things that get added in. I want to give you that list. You're going to love this. You will find your life is marked by compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience, and love, which is the perfect bond of unity. He adds one other, and that's the one I always stumble on. You will be quick to forgive. Ooh, that's easy, isn't it? No, not for me or anybody else I know. Quick to forgive is just plain hard. One of my jobs right now is that I get to travel many places in the world with Maranatha Volunteers International. It's a company, an NGO that goes all around the world building schools and clinics and churches where people can't do it for themselves. So I'm on a project. It's in Africa. And as we're busy working away on building this building, I notice one of the guys who is big and strong and quick and talented. He reaches over and he grabs the torch and begins welding a steel beam. And I said, John, I didn't know you could weld. He stopped, looked at me, and said, there are lots of things you don't know about me. Gunther Maynard taught me how to weld. And then he went back to welding, and my heart is just absolutely trembling in I don't know what to do with this. And then he stopped, and he looked at me again, and he said, Pastor Dirksen, I got a lot of Campion Academy stories I'd like to tell you someday. And now I knew I was in big trouble. For 5 years, I served as principal of a Seventh-day Adventist high school, a boarding high school in Loveland, Colorado, right at the foot of the Rockies. 5 years, good years. I remember them very fondly, but obviously there was something wrong here. couple days later, out behind, well, actually going from Mozambique to South Africa across the customs station, we had a few minutes, and I looked at John and I said, "You want to tell me some camping stories?" And he said, "Are you sure you want to hear?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And he leaned over at me and said, "Dirksen, I've hated you for 35 years. And then he proceeded to tell me why. And he went through all of the things a young high school principal had done wrong in the case of Big John. There was a list. I was running through my head trying to remember, did I really do that? Did that really happen? How did we do what? I couldn't put it all together. And finally took a deep breath. I just put my arms out. This monster guy, I'm 6'2", he was 6 more and big, and I just graced and embraced him as tight as I could, and I just said, "John, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that what I did back then has been such an incredible pain to you. It's awful. Please forgive me." He shoved me away. "What did you just say?" I said, "John, please forgive me. I didn't even know. Please forgive me. I'm so sorry." And John began to cry. And he said, "I never dreamed you would say those words." We've become really good friends. Really good friends. I trust him a lot. He's a good man. But he's better now that he has been able to forgive me of things I did that I don't even remember, but they hurt him. That's not okay. So let me give you another one. When I think of be quick to forgive, this is a hospital story that you will remember the rest of your life. The patient is on 3rd floor in an oncology unit. She is being seen by hospice. She's been in the hospital for 2 weeks. She's going to die. It's not going to go out any other way. The chaplain, Rose is her name, gets a phone call from the nurse manager. She says, "Rose, get up here. Mrs. Gonzalez is at the end." So Rose rushes upstairs, goes into the room, and when she does, she finds the room is packed with relatives. And I mean packed, it's just jammed in. There are 13 people in the room. And you know most hospital rooms, if you can get 13 people in there, they're standing on each other. That's kind of the way it was. And they all hated each other. Grandma's in the bed, she's dying. She doesn't even know what's going on, but this one is angry because, and they're starting to talk about it. "You didn't invite me to come to Thanksgiving last year, and I want to know why. Is there something wrong? Do I have bad breath or something?" And the back and forth and the nastiness. Rose told me later, "I have never felt something so ugly." That's what was going on in that room. She said, "I didn't know what to do, so I just leaned back up against the wall and said, 'God, help me.'" And the door opened. And in walked the cookie lady. Cookie lady's a volunteer. She's an old woman with no hearing anymore, but she's got this monster tray of brand fresh, smelly chocolate macadamia nut cookies, and everybody in the room goes, "Whoo," and the lady says, "Anybody here want a cookie?" And Rose said, my head just shook. What a stupid thing to say. We're in the midst of this absolutely awful experience. Everything's going wrong here. You want to give us cookies? She said, I tried my best to get her out of the room, but I couldn't because she couldn't hear. Nobody moved. So she said it again. "Is there anybody here who wants a cookie?" Now the room's silent. Except for a 10-year-old boy, grandson, standing over by the bed. He gets up, walks over, takes the biggest chocolate chip macadamia cookie on the tray, drops it right on Grandma's chest and says, "Hey, Grams, you want a cookie?" Everybody in the room burst into laughter. And just like that, all of the anger and nastiness went away. And Rose says, before it was over, we were holding hands, hugging tightly, crying and laughing together. And the last thing Grandma heard was her family happy with each other and squeezing her hands in love. Now that story I didn't hear until 3 months later. And I heard it 3 months later when Rose came into my office and said, I just got back from downtown. And I said, well, that's a cool thing to stop by and tell me. And she said, no, I did. I just got back from downtown. And you remember that lady, the cookie lady? No, you wouldn't know the story. So she tells me this story. I was downtown just now, and one of the men, the son of the lady, was walking downtown. He stopped, ran across the street, gave me a big hug and said, I don't know how you did it, but when you sent that cookie lady into our room, that was the best thing that has ever happened to us. Our whole family is into forgiveness and joy. And anytime stuff really goes wrong, one of us just looks at the other and says, hey, you want a cookie? And we have found joy where there was only anger. Quick to forgive? It's just part of what it means to do sacred work. If I hold something against you, it's like giving the devil free rent in my heart. Not a good idea. Your assignment today, you ready? Want your team, look around at each other and say, who do we know that we really don't know very well? How about IT? Nobody knows IT very well. They sit over in a little corner someplace. Find out how many people there are in IT. Go home tonight, bake enough cookies so that everybody gets 2 cookies in IT, and then at some point during your day, get up, go over to IT, and give everybody 2 cookies. You're about to have a party you'll never forget.